Hello. Perhaps one of the things that is unique to humans is our capability to create complex organizations, that is, to form and sustain large systems of interdependencies that work as one whole and achieve certain objectives. Organizations are the focus of Unit 127, and this session is designed to help you, students taking the course. Many of you may have concerns about the course. You may be asking yourself, what precisely am I expected to do in the exam? How do I know that I answered a question in the best way? What should I do to make sure that I am well prepared for the exam? And how could I cope with the extensive reading material? If you are wondering about these questions, this session is for you. To answer these questions, I will be interviewing Professor Peter Abel, who is the author of the course guide for Unit 127, Organization Theory and Interdisciplinary Approach. Professor Abel, what is an interdisciplinary approach?
Well, let me go back from that. I mean, why would one want an interdisciplinary approach? This course is basically designed for management students, and there isn't a discipline called management, really. Management has to draw upon other social sciences and the economics to understand organizations. So the idea is to try and take organizations as the focus and then ask questions like, what can the economist contribute to our understanding of organizations? What can the sociologist, what can the psychologist contribute? And perhaps others as well, anthropology and management science might be other examples. So the idea is that management students need to be able to amalgamate the different approaches from the different disciplines in trying to understand these complex things you referred to, namely organizations.
So what is the benefits of interdisciplinary approach?
Well, I guess the main benefit is that it isn't true to say that any one discipline has a monopoly on truth. There are, in fact, or there's good evidence that suggests that one has to understand a variety of approaches to really understand how to construct organizations and how to run them. And of course, that's what management is about. I mean, if there were no organizations, there'd be no managers. So one of the most important things for a manager is to know how to construct and run an organization.
So, given that this is an interdisciplinary course, how would that influence the way I would answer a question in an exam?
That's a difficult question, but basically what you should do as a student is to look at the question carefully and then say or make notes in your mind or on spare paper about the way the different disciplines contribute to the central concepts in the question. And then to say, basically, are these different approaches compatible? Do they complement each other or do they supplement each other? But to convey to the examiner that you have a good grasp of the variety of approaches to the particular concepts that appear in the questions.
Interesting. So can you walk me through a concrete problem and show me the benefits of an interdisciplinary approach to that problem? Well,
let's take the starting point for the course, which is really the notion that at the foundation of everything we do is a concept of the division of labour. Now, it's probably true to say that the more advanced or sophisticated a society is, the greater the division of labour. And if it wasn't for the division of labour, of course, we wouldn't have organisations. Organisations are one method of controlling and coordinating activities in the division of labour. Markets are another way of doing it, and presumably we'll come back later to this distinction between whether it should be done in a market or it should be done in an organisation. But the division of labour is a concept that occurs in economics, it occurs in sociology, and to a certain extent in psychology, but less so. Now, the basic idea is that the division of labour leads to specialization, and specialization leads to increased efficiency. And of course, economists are very concerned with efficiency. So underlying the approach to the division of labor in economics is this idea of moving from increasing division of labor to increasing efficiency. And then you have the problem of coordinating within the division of labor. You might assume from that increasing division of labour would always lead to greater efficiency. Many sociologists and I think also psychologists may contest that viewpoint. They may think that this would be true within a reasonable range, but they might also feel that if you got too much division of labour, in other words, you fragmented complex activities down into very, very simple activities, there may well be negative consequences of that, and perhaps we could talk about that later. And indeed, there is a certain amount of intellectual conflict between the economist who tends, I say, to see division of labour as inevitably leading to improving efficiency, whereas sociologists will say, well, that may be true within a range, but beyond a certain range, it may be counterproductive, and people may react negatively to it. And again, we could talk more about that later on if you wish.
Okay. Thank you very much. So it seems that at the heart of organizations is the human being. And if we wish to describe organization, we need to understand the features of humans and the consequences of those features to the organization as a whole. We need to understand human behavior and psychology, sociology and economics in order to explain why organizations work as they do. We find that good essays always acknowledge the interdisciplinary nature of the course. Whatever you write about, you need to outline the controversies in the field to show that different scholars think differently and how this difference actually contributes to our understanding of the field as a whole.